How's it going, everyone? Welcome. If this is your first time here, my name is Edgar and this channel is about personal finance, investing, both in real estate and in the stock market, and personal development. So if that is something you're interested in, make sure to subscribe. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I was able to save just over $43,000 in the last few months. Now, I know this is not a ton of money by any means, but for many people, having $43,000 saved is a huge deal, especially with everything that has been happening recently. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of my strategies and tips that can help you save more money. And I understand saving is not easy. I mean, talking about it and thinking about saving is easy and anyone can do that, but actually putting in the work to save money is the hard part. And it's times like these that really remind everyone why saving is such an important thing to do. I mean, nobody thinks about saving when times are good and they have a job and the money is coming in. But when that money stops coming in, a lot of expenses do not stop. Because you still need somewhere to live, you need to eat, and there are many other basic necessities that people still have. And when you get laid off, it can really affect you financially, and you could feel the negative effects for many years. Just within the last couple of weeks, millions of Americans have made unemployment claims and the numbers just keep growing. And one article even said unemployment in the US can reach almost 15%, which will be the highest level since the 1940s. And for those who work for an airline, a cruise ship company, or in retail, then you've probably felt this more than anyone else, and I'm sure many would really benefit from having some savings during this time. So without further ado, the first thing you should do is think about where your long-term goals are, and this can be your goal for the next year, the next 5 years, and even the next 10 years. And these goals do not have to be super specific. It should just be a general idea of where you want to be. Do you want to be a multi-millionaire with 3 houses and some Ferraris in the driveway, or do you just want enough money to retire comfortably? Either way, knowing where your long-term goals are will help you know what course of action you need to take today to help you reach those goals. Then the second thing you should do is set short-term goals. Now these goals can be daily goals like saving an extra few dollars every day or skipping drinks on Friday night. Then you can have weekly goals and monthly goals, and that could be having a certain amount of savings on the last day of the month. And that could be having $200, $1,000, or even $10,000. It all depends on your current financial situation and how much you can save. Now I know some people are going to say they cannot save anything because they're barely getting by as it is, but I'm sure everyone spends money on something they don't actually need. And even if you only start with a few dollars, that's better than never getting started in the first place. And once you take that first step, you can begin looking for more ways you can save. So maybe the first month you only save $50, but the next month you save $75, and the month after that you save $150, and you can continue saving more every month until you build up a good amount of savings. And to help you achieve those short-term goals and eventually your long-term goals, you will need to get on a budget. I've talked about budgets in several of my other videos, so I won't go into too much detail on them in this video. But basically, a budget is meant to help you track all of the money you have coming in, and for the most part, that's going to be the income from your job. But it can also include things like dividends, rental income, or interest, and then a budget also helps you track all of your expenses. This is very important because if you don't know how much money is coming in and how much is going out, it's going to become 10 times more difficult to achieve your financial goals. When you have all of your expenses listed out in your budget, it is a lot easier to see how much you're spending in each category, and if you're overspending in one area, then you can cut back on that, or you can even eliminate that expense entirely, and whatever dollar amount you are saving by doing that, that money can go towards your savings. Budgeting is such a simple step that doesn't cost you anything and that anyone can do. Yet so many people don't, whether it's because they are lazy or they don't think it will actually work for them. But I can tell you from experience, getting on a budget and actually seeing where every dollar is going makes all the difference when you're trying to save as much as possible. Now let's move on to discussing some of my strategies for saving money, and the first one is saving money at the grocery store. And this can be a big expense for many people, especially those who have large families, but you can save quite a bit when you shop for groceries online. The reason is when you do your shopping in person, you are more likely to make impulse purchases, and even though making a grocery list ahead of time does help, it doesn't always keep you from buying things you don't need. I mean, it happens to everyone. You go to a store to buy one item you actually need and you walk out with a bunch of other things you didn't plan on buying but you did anyways. Or maybe you go to a store to buy certain items and then when you get back home you realize you forgot to buy that one thing you needed, but you came home with a bunch of other things you did not intend on buying. So by shopping online, you can just create a list of the items you actually need, and the store can gather those items for you, and then you can just pick them up when you are ready, or you can even have them delivered to you. And this way, you're not tempted by the home decor items or other things you don't need. Plus, when you shop online and you have your groceries delivered to you, you are saving lots of time by not having to drive to a store, find a parking space, then spend time walking around the store looking for what you need, and then wait in those long lines. And even though you will most likely have to pay a fee to have everything delivered to you, it could be you're actually saving more when you consider the fact that you won't make impulse purchases, you'll save on gas, and for many people, they can make more money from working an extra hour than what the delivery fee costs them. But even if you pick up your online order, you're still saving time by not walking up and down the aisles looking for what you need and then waiting at the checkout lines. The next thing you should do to help you save money is set up automatic withdrawals. The way it works for many people is they get paid and all of their money goes into one checking account, and then from there they begin to pay everything they need to. And if there's anything left over, then that's what they save. But most times there is nothing left over, so they don't save anything. Instead, what you should do is use your checking account as a place to receive your paycheck, but then once it's there, you should set up automatic withdrawals and disperse that money into many different accounts. For example, your first withdrawal can go towards your savings, then the next one can go into an investment account, and then you could have another one set up for your rent or your mortgage payment. And then the next withdrawal can go into an account that is used for medical expenses and so on. And you can have as many accounts as you need, and it all depends on how you set up your finances. The purpose of this is to help you control your spending in each category, and this way you won't spend more than you've allocated for each category, which means you will not end up in a situation where there's nothing left to save. Now, how much you allocate into each category is going to be different, but this is where having a budget is great because that will give you a better idea of how much you will need for necessities, how much you can spend on going out and doing the things you want, and then the rest can go towards savings and investments. Maybe at first you're only putting away 5%, but once you begin saving in other areas, you can begin increasing the amount you're saving. So now you could be saving and investing 15%, and then sometime later you increase that amount again, so now it's more like 30% and so on. Ideally, these automatic withdrawals should happen on the day you get paid, so once you get around to paying your bills, all of your money has been sorted and you don't spend money that should have gone toward your savings or investments. The next money saving tip is to establish a price you are willing to spend on something before you go shopping for the item. For example, let's say you need a new computer for work. Instead of going right to a store or going online, you should think about the maximum amount you would be willing to spend. And when thinking about this, it would be a great idea to look at your budget and find out how much you can spend without throwing your entire budget out of whack. And then you should also think about the reason why you are buying what you are. In this case, a person is buying a computer for work, and we will say the computer will only be used for basic activities like sending emails. And this is important because when you're finally ready to go shopping for that computer, you will not fall victim to salespeople selling you a computer that you will not get full use out of. For example, this person only needs a computer for basic work-related activities, so it does not make sense to buy a computer with a high processor or huge amounts of RAM. And this applies to everything from shopping for clothes to expensive items like cars. I'm sure everyone has been out shopping for something and you end up spending more than you intended. And if you spend a few bucks more on some clothes, it will not be the end of the world. But when we are talking about expensive items like computers or cars, then overspending can mean throwing away hundreds and even thousands of dollars. So whether you're shopping for something simple like shoes or an expensive item like a car, you should establish a limit for how much you are willing and able to spend. The next money saving tip is to buy non-perishable items in bulk and buy generic brands whenever possible. Most of the time, stores will have better deals when you buy multiple of the same items at once, and because we're talking about items that do not have an expiration date, you do not have to worry about something going bad. Whenever I'm shopping for household items, I will always buy the 2 or 3 pack of toothpaste over buying the single ones, and the same goes for things like deodorant, bar soap, shampoo, and many other items like those. But you can also do this with certain food items like soda, chips, and frozen goods. And even though some of these items will have expiration dates, they normally last for a very long time, so by the time they do expire, you would have used them already. So whenever you are shopping, look to see if you can get a better deal by buying something in bulk, or you can even wait until a certain item goes on sale or has a promotional offer going on, and when it does, you can buy multiple items and store them in your house. Then another great way to save money is buying generic store brands. Now, not every single generic brand item is going to work or taste as good as the name brand item, but there are so many things out there where you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two other than the packaging and price. For example, items like Band-Aids, hand soap, and spices are some of the items you can save money on by buying generic store brands, and the odds you notice any difference between the generic brand and the big name brand is extremely low. And you can even test out different products to see which work the same and which don't, and whichever items don't work or taste the same, then you simply switch back to the big name brand for that product. And even though the initial savings of switching to a generic brand or buying items in bulk is not going to seem like a huge amount of money, it can add up very quickly when you do this with multiple items over time. And it does not even require any extra effort on your part because these items are normally located right next to each other. So all you have to do is reach for the generic brand item instead of the brand name item. The next strategy I use to save money is convert the price of whatever I want to buy into how many hours of work it will cost me to pay for that item. For example, if you're looking to buy some new shoes and those shoes cost $100 and you are earning $10 an hour, that means you will need to work at least 10 hours to make enough to pay for those shoes. And this is assuming you get to keep every dollar you make, which is not true because you have to pay income taxes and then you have to pay sales taxes. So in reality, you would have to work around 11 to 12 hours to pay for those shoes. Now let's say you really wanted a Gucci handbag and that bag costs $2,500. If you're making $10 an hour, it will take you over 250 hours or about 6 40-hour work weeks just to pay for that one bag. And even if you're making $30 an hour, it will still take you over 83 hours of work just to pay for that bag. And this is why many people never escape the rat race, because the more they earn, the more they spend. And when you spend more, you have to work more to cover your expenses. So it's a never-ending cycle. So instead of falling into this trap, whenever you want to buy something, think about it in terms of how many hours you will have to work to pay for that item. And if it makes sense, then you buy it. But if it does not make sense, then you don't. So with that being said, these are some of the simple tricks and strategies I've used to help me save money. And when you follow these tips over a few months, the amount of money you will have saved will make a big difference for you, especially during a time like this. If you found any of these tips helpful, it would really help me out if you hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.